All right, three, two. Hey, Cairo Sushi Samurai, what's up? Happy Thursday. You know where I am. If you guys have seen these halls before, I'm at Life University in Atlanta. I'm here for the DE conference this weekend. I'm excited, but I'm even more excited because we have the what I announced the other day, a next keynote speaker at Cairo Sushi Summit. Also, someone I consider to be one of the best salesmen and best entrepreneurs out there. I've been following Daven Michaels for a couple of years now. Bought his programs for 123 Employee to start up a couple other businesses before Cairo Sushi. So I'm excited to get to learn more about him, get inside his mind, and dig deep, man. And I want to just thank you, Daven, for being and hanging out with us today.
Awesome. Yeah, Tristan, thanks for having me. I appreciate it. And, I'm right across the street from
the Westgate,
yeah. Is where your event's going to be.
It's going to be awesome, dude. And so I want to see, you wrote the book, Outsource Smart, and you became the niche king leader, the king of outsourcing. How the hell did it all start, man?
Yeah, really good question. So, I've been self-employed for a long time, Tristan, over 30 years. And most of those businesses were in entertainment communications. That's what I did most of my life. And I was in the music business. I produced music and television for about 15 years. And I had a friend, his name is Ian Rich, one of my best buds, and he had a production deal, a publishing deal, in Southeast Asia. And he was really buried in that project. He asked me if I could come in on it. And I did, and that put me on that side of the world. I was in Southeast Asia several times a year. And we started a small phone room that was kind of a part of our business. And it was a long time ago. Back in the early days, small businesses weren't outsourcing. The infrastructure wasn't there. It was very rough. But eventually, we muddled through it, and we managed to get it to work for our own business. And then a couple years into it, I thought, maybe we could offer this as a service. And so we tried. And again, it was kind of slow beginnings. But today we have almost 550 employees at 123 Employee. And we work with entrepreneurs all over the globe, some of the biggest thought leaders on the planet, just like you. And we do all the busy stuff in their business, from internet marketing, social media, telemarketing, back office tasks, inbound, outbound voice, so much. And our mission at 123 Employee is to rescue lifestyle-starved entrepreneurs, chiropractors, you name it, give them their time back and their lives back. And we love doing it. It's a lot of fun. And when we were in the early days, when we started the business almost a decade ago, entrepreneurs knew nothing about outsourcing. And we realized really early on that if we wanted to have a business, we wanted to have a market, we'd have to create a market. And so we're like, well, how are we going to do this? And we adopted an educational model that we still use today. And so our mission, not really our mission, but the way that we bring people into 123 Employee is through education. We educate them. We show them how to generate a ton of leads, how to outsource all the busy stuff, and a lot of people become clients at 123.
Yeah, for chiropractors, there's two areas where I really saw 123 Employee kind of fitting into their paradigm. One is obviously in a self-sustaining practice, maybe a startup practice that doesn't have the time or the money or the resources to really bring on a full-time staff or receptionist. And VAs that you guys work with can actually do scheduling. You can train them in any kind of task, right? It's pretty much one-stop shop. If you can train it, they can learn it, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I think you nailed it. I know where you're going to go too. So I think the two, and you correct me if I'm wrong, but I'd say probably the two greatest places a chiropractor can utilize this. Number one is, a lot of these shops, it's just them, right? And they need to spend all of their time doing whatever the highest and best.
They're up their phone while they're adjusting, man. I've called chiropractors and I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah, exactly. And so they need to be focused on the highest and best use of their time, right? The more adjustments they're doing, the more money they're making, and somebody else has to do everything else. So that can be picking up the phone, doing the scheduling, doing the follow-ups, making sure that they show up, just taking care of admin stuff, paying bills, all of that stuff, the busy stuff, right? Because get the busy stuff off your plate, you've got more time equals dollars, right? But then I think my guess is the second place you were going to go was like lead gen, right? Getting more business coming through the door, right? Because at the end of the day, I believe that if you can dial in your marketing, if you have a ton of leads or patients coming in through the door, if your bank accounts are overflowing with money, then you can probably buy yourself out of just about any challenge you face in your chiropractic business today, right?
Yeah, well, the other thing, you actually threw another one on there, so you kind of opened up my eyes, and I totally kind of forgot about that element of what a VA can do, especially ones that are highly as trained in the 1, 2, 3 employee model, right? And we'll dive into that a little bit deeper. But the third thing is a lot of chiropractors have to have side hustles today because of the debt, student loan debt, because
Yeah.
of the every action has a reaction, meaning there's only so many adjustments left. And now I'm seeing, people my parents' age that are still working and they really should be retired, but due to certain circumstances, whether it wasn't saving money or it was spending money in the wrong way or just the economy, whatever you want to throw at it, we are now in the side hustle generation, right? And this goes back to what you were saying about lead gen and stuff like that. But I could see chiropractors having a virtual assistant that can help them with their funnels, help them with organizing their side hustle. It doesn't have to be related to their practice. I wanted to ask you, what, to dive into that, what besides lead gen, what, if we could just go down the rabbit hole of what types of tasks can outsource employees do? I mean, I know we have a couple hours, but
Sure. Well, also too, on the side hustle tip too, it used to be if you had, let's say you had a job, like you got your education, you have a job, maybe you're working in someone's office, you want to start your own thing, but it's like, how do you do it because you're so busy in your job, right? And for the first time in history, you can really get leverage on that. Like if you want to start something new while you're working that job, you can have your virtual assistant kind of work on that. So maybe it's, scheduling appointments, doing some marketing. So maybe you open up a little office, you only work evenings initially, and then eventually you could transition to a full day. So just to kind of answer that. But yeah, to answer your question, the kind of stuff we can do, there's so many things and it's so crazy. Every day there's something new because every day there's new software coming out, there's new platforms coming out, there's new social media sources coming out. But generally we do things like internet marketing, social media, telemarketing, back office tasks, inbound, outbound voice, customer service, admin, transcription. We could even open up your snail mail. And matter of fact, that's a little hack I'll give you right now. It's kind of fun. So, it's time consuming to open snail mail, right? And pay bills and do all that. Now, granted, a lot of the stuff is online right now, but I've been using a service for about a decade for my snail mail, and that's because I travel all the time. There's a great service that's called Earth Class Mail. And you sign up for Earth Class Mail, you change your mailing address to Earth Class, and they have all kinds of cool vanity addresses. Like you could have a Fifth Avenue address in New York or Beverly Hills address or something in your own backyard.
Okay.
Yeah, it's really cool. And then once you forward your mail there, it pops up an email. They digitize your snail mail, and each one shows up as an email, and you have 4 options. One is to open, one is to recycle, the other is to shred, and then the fourth one is to forward to yourself. If it's like a package or something like that. So, and I think they have a 5th one now where you can actually, if you receive a check, you can deposit it to your bank account. And so your virtual assistant can log in, take care of all that stuff for you. So they can even check snail mail, which is pretty neat.
Awesome, dude. I want to dive a little bit deeper into what you guys are doing over at 1, 2, 3 Employee, but I also want to give you a lot of kudos because especially in chiropractic today, all our docs for lead gen is all about Facebook. And I've been sitting in over here going, and we talked about this the other day, I built a $19 million startup with a couple other co-founders on LinkedIn. You built 1, 2, 3 Employee on LinkedIn. Why are so many people afraid of using LinkedIn, and why should they be utilizing it? The floor is yours.
Sure, absolutely. Well, LinkedIn is, if you're doing anything that's B2B, LinkedIn is awesome. Okay. And I think sometimes people get confused. So when I say B2B, obviously that's business to business. And if you think about Facebook, it's primarily B2C, right? Business to consumer. And if you're a chiropractor, who are you adjusting? Well, they're consumers, right? But at the end of every business is a consumer, right? I mean, there's a consumer that is the CEO of the company, the VP, the CFO, and all that, right? And what's great about LinkedIn, it's a great way to reach out to people, to reach out to local people in your area. And they're business people. They certainly have stress and issues, and they need to be adjusted. And on top of that, you can really hit a huge home run with companies, because if you can get the CEO sold, then he'll offer chiropractic to the whole office, right? So that's leverage. Matter of fact, I'm sure you can relate to this because you do your webinars and you do your Facebook Lives and what have you, that one of the biggest, probably the biggest shift that we ever had in our business, the biggest tipping point, and my guess it was kind of the same for you too, is when we went from marketing to one to marketing to many. And this was a shift that happened in our business about 7 or 8 years ago. We decided from now on, anytime I open my mouth, it's only going to be to many. And so I started speaking on stages, which is to many. We started doing our own events, which was speaking to many. We started webinars, which is basically a virtual event, right? And we were speaking to many, Facebook Live, many, social media, many, my books, many, my info products, many. And that's what allows you to grow a business exponentially. So if a lot of the time when you're reaching out and prospecting, if you're speaking to a person that could bring you many clients as opposed to one, it's going to grow your business exponentially. And LinkedIn is an awesome way to do that. It's fantastic.
And to go back to kind of basics, guys, you guys can utilize a 1-2-3 employee VA who's well trained and well versed in LinkedIn list building strategies and networking strategies and content production.
Yeah, and by the way, too, when we're talking about LinkedIn, there's really two types of ways you can prospect on LinkedIn. One is through the LinkedIn platform, and then there's some little variations there. And then the other is through LinkedIn advertising, pay-per-click or in-mail or what have you. And we're probably not talking about that. That's very expensive. I don't recommend it really for building your practice. I suppose you could, but what we're talking about is prospecting on LinkedIn, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and so that doesn't really cost money. It just costs sweat equity. It costs, somebody's got to sit there and do it. And that's, again, below your pay grade. Give it to a virtual assistant, have them learn and do.
So I'm a DC. I'm looking at 1-2-3 employee. This is your time, Daven, to share with us why choose, because there's other options out there now. You could go through the route of not a third party. You could go the route of Craigslist now. I mean, there's so many options for hiring a VA. You guys have owned the market, obviously, and been the industry thought leaders there. But why would you tell a doctor to sign up with 1-2-3 employee?
Sure. Well, I think there's different times to use different applications. You could surely find somebody on Craigslist. Sometimes some people only want to work with someone in their own backyard, and so that's an option. You can find people on freelancer sites, right? And quite often, probably not Craigslist, but quite often freelancer sites, you might pay less, a little bit less. But I'll tell you this, we've been in the business for almost a decade, and all the time, every single day, we get people that come to 1-2-3 employee that may have had a freelancer. And when I say freelancer, that's somebody working from home. And, maybe things were going great, 6, 7, 8 months, whatever. And then all of a sudden they lost the freelancer. Maybe it was somebody in the Philippines. So there's an act of God or a hurricane or the power starts going out or the phone starts going out, which is very common in the Philippines, which is where we're located. And then you have to start all over again. With a managed facility like 1-2-3 employee, you have total accountability. You have a project manager that's overseeing everything. We have a very low attrition rate at 1-2-3 employee. It's a great job, but when we do lose people, we have a training in place and we get people, back up, get your new person up to speed quickly. You don't have to worry about the power going out. Everything's redundant. You don't have to worry about the internet. And so all in all, it's a much better way to go because at the end of the day, your time is your money, right? It's the most valuable thing you have. And if you have to stop and start all over again, retraining somebody else, it's just not worth it. So that's why we always recommend utilizing managed facilities. Now, when, a time to use a freelancer, I think, is when you've got something project-based. So if you need maybe just a website done, but not ongoing web work, or if you need, a project done, graphic work done, and it's not ongoing, then have a freelancer do it. But if you're looking to have a dedicated agent in your business, dedicated employee, and they don't have to be full-time. It can be part-time to full-time. Then you want to think about a managed facility like 1-2-3 employee.
And I got to go to the question I know a lot of chiropractors would ask is, what about taxes?
Yeah. So I'll just kind of run down how our services work. We have 3 levels of service. We keep it really simple. We call it burgers and fries. And so we have full-time employees. They're $12.87 a month. You can have a full-time employee, 40 hours a week, 160 hours a month, and that's our best value. We have 80 hours a month, which is $7.97. We have part-timers, which are 40 hours a month. That's $4.97 a month. And so obviously the more hours you get, the less the hourly price is. Either way you go, there's a one-time $199 admin fee that covers everything: desk, chair, computer, internet, inbound, outbound voice. I'm sorry, what am I saying? That includes a desk, computer, internet. Unlimited inbound, outbound voice, and the phone number and the area code of your choice. So you can
Someone might be asking what a desk is, right? They're asking, right? A desk would be it's not the person. You own that space to put people
Yeah,
in that. Okay.
exactly. Yeah, we take care of everything, and and so you can reach your person anytime. You can reach them on Skype, via phone, email, whatever, text, smoke signals, and the cool thing is you can forward your phones when you're doing an adjustment or when you're not around. Matter of fact, what a lot of people like chiropractors and doctors do is they set up delayed call forwarding on their phone number. So if they're around and they want to, they can pick up the phone. But if they're busy doing an adjustment or something, they just don't pick up the phone, and then it just rings to us, and we pick up, "Good afternoon, Dr. Smith's office. How can I help?" So that's pretty cool. And we can, do all that stuff. It's pretty neat.
I have to imagine, Daven, that you, because of all that you travel, all the things that you've accomplished, and what you're looking to do in the future. We talked about you were hanging with Grant Cardone, who spoke at the summit, Kawasushi Summit last year during the Vegas shootings, and you're constantly reinvesting in yourself. And the big thing that I got from this conversation and what you've built is, time is limited, right? That's the one thing you can't. Money is abundant. One of the things I learned from our mentor of the week in our group here is Dr. Sean Dill, is money you can pull out of thin air, but time you can never get back.
Right.
What are some tips from an entrepreneur to chiropreneurs is what we call ourselves?
Right.
What are some time-saving tips, if you will, if you don't mind sharing? And then I think me and Devin have a special surprise for you guys if you want to go deeper down the rabbit hole with some of this stuff.
Cool. Well, the first thing I'll tell you this is what I've learned over the years is that most entrepreneurs at the core of who they are micromanagers. Now, some younger entrepreneurs, maybe not quite as much. Older entrepreneurs like me, we're certainly micromanagers. And that's because we came out of the generation that initially didn't have the internet, right? And so back then, we would, back then before the internet, what have you, it was, you kind of micromanaged. And so, even though I've managed to, over the last decade or so, I've gotten that off my plate and I leverage everything. Matter of fact, I'm probably the most highly leveraged person you meet in your life. At the core of who I am, I'm still a micromanager. And so every day, as an entrepreneur, you see a task and you want to get it off your plate. And so the knee-jerk reaction is just to do it. But what I ask myself many times a day, and I feel like every entrepreneur needs to ask themselves many times a day is this the highest and best use of my time? And if the answer is no, then you need to outsource or delegate to somebody else. That's either somebody in your office or your outsourced employee. So number one, I would say, from a methodology standpoint, you have to do that. Just constantly, is this the highest and best use of my time? What I will do is I'll give you a little exercise. If you want to look at getting some leverage on your time, what I highly suggest you do is just grab a piece of paper, put a line down the middle, and on the left-hand side, you're going to make a list of your IGAs, your income-generating activities. And as you probably agree, there's about 1,000 tasks, Tristan, that you can do every day in your business, but only a small handful of tasks that create immediate bottom line results. And that's IGAs, or income generating activities. So on the left-hand side, you make a list of your IGAs. On the right-hand side, you make a list of everything else, all the mundane, arduous tasks you have to do every day, right? And then on the left-hand side, circle everything that you feel could be outsourced or delegated to somebody else. Some stuff will be on there. You'd be like, well, I can't outsource that. But then give it a little more thought. Say, hey, what if I had a little more time to do a brain dump? And then what could I outsource or delegate? Circle all those. Obviously, doing adjustments, you're not going to circle because that's you. And then what you want to do is start focusing on the stuff you circled. Start outsourcing or delegating those tasks because those are income generating. So if you can outsource some of those tasks to a virtual assistant, they're going to make you money. Then you can hire more virtual assistants and you can have a virtual team until such time as you feel like you want a local team, if you ever want that. And then once you've attacked those, then start moving on to the tasks, the mundane, the everyday stuff. Because once again, these are tasks that are eating your time. And the more time you get back, obviously, time equals money.
Yeah, dude, and I wanted to throw in something there to you because one of my mentors and colleagues who created a $3 billion publicly traded unicorn said to me, he said to me one day, if I'm not micromanaging, I'm not managing. So, that was a quote from that I wanted to throw back at you. And so, guys, Daven was so kind to offer his time up today and share with you guys. He's going to be at the Kawasushi Summit, but he said, man, let's do more. If your audience wants to go down that rabbit hole, we're going to set up a webinar Maybe we'll go down the LinkedIn stuff and how to incorporate VA stuff into that. I think that's a good theme. Or we'll figure something else out. I'll tell you what, guys. If you comment below, I'll send you a direct link for instant access once we get that up. And for those watching on recorded, you can click the link above that we'll have to click for that webinar. I want to thank you, man, for
Sure. Well, what I was going to say too is I believe, as I said earlier, that if you can solve the lead gen dilemma in your business, if you can get a business where you've got patients coming in every 15 minutes to 30 minutes, right, then you're going to have a bunch of money and you can buy yourself out of any challenge you face in your business. So on that webinar that we're going to do, I will peel back the curtain. I will share a whole bunch of different lead gen strategies, literally to generate unlimited leads for life in your business. I'll include some LinkedIn hacks as well. We'll show you then how to do that. If all you do is just show up, take copious notes, you will leave with those tools, and then I'll show you how to outsource and delegate it all so that you can focus on scaling your business rather than the minutia.
You're such a rock star, man. I'm so grateful for the moment. I saw your Facebook ad years ago, back when this was when no one was doing Facebook ads. You were one of the very few first innovators there. And I'm so grateful for you to be hanging with us in Vegas, in your hometown, in your backyard, literally next year, and helping chiropractors grow, make more money, save money, make their lives easier. Guys, if you want to learn more about Daven Michaels, I have the link above, links in the comments. And if you want to learn more about 123 Employee, I also have those links above and links in the comments. Thank you so much, dude, for hanging out today, and thank you for sharing the way you did.
Yeah, brother.